I grew up figuring that free speech was something that we had handled, at least in the West, but once again, we're reminded that this requires vigilance every day. We've seen this brutally so in Europe, and strangely so in the United States recently, where North Korea, or someone trying to look a lot like them, launched what is probably the greatest cyber attack in American history, all because of a silly movie. But you have to hand it to the North Korean propaganda machine. No one writes Cold War movie copy like they do. What if we could direct all this attention on the film back on the dictatorship itself? What if we could hack them back? Culture that we take for granted, even trivial culture, is a power representation of our values. Here's the truly powerful thing. Yeonmi represents a generation of North Korean millennials who grew up with a thriving black market, one that evolved because the state was incapable of meeting their needs after the Soviet Union pulled support during a time of great famine. For this new generation, sharing video is a form of social capital. North Koreans risk their lives to access this kind of information because it's a form of rebellion against the state. How do you support this effort where communication is prohibited? Enter the work of defectors like Park Sang-hak and his supporters at the Human Rights Foundation. Here, they're launching high-altitude balloons loaded with small radios, DVDs, and flash drives so they can send movies, Wikipedia, and educational material to the aid of those looking for information. Cracking North Korea represents one of the toughest communications challenges on Earth. You know, you want to bring the best minds in the room, pair developers with North Korean defectors, feeding off of one another, building prototypes with refugees. In other words, you need a hackathon. When the Kim regime heard about our hackathon, they weren't too happy about that either. It was perhaps the worst review of a hack event known. They called the effort a futile attempt to spy on and brainwash people. Instead of being humiliated by illusions of grandeur, the United States should focus on its own jeopardized and pathetic state, they said. They got one thing right about startup culture. A lot of great entrepreneurs have illusions of grandeur.